Say, make sure it's recorded.
I'm recording on my computer. I wonder if I should record on the cloud because I do pay for cloud recording with
Your computer lets you scrape. If you've got the settings right, it pulls the audio individually and can give you better sound quality
on the computer.
on the computer. So,
I'm recording on the computer now. So okay, then we'll do that. Yeah, I did one a few years ago. I put one of these series out just to help people, and this one person, we were about 10 minutes in, and I'm like, I
yeah,
didn't. And now
yeah,
I keep a sticky note. I'm gonna have to put another one up there that says hit record. so,
record. Yeah.
so we'll start. I usually do like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and point, and then
Okay.
that lets my editor know. Okay, like 30 seconds, 5 seconds after this. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Lisa Coleman, and you are in the Your Time Is Now series, where our topic this time around is how to thrive, not just survive, in any real estate market. And today, and we're going to start that over because I need to know, give me the correct spelling of your correct pronunciation of your last name.
Richter, like the Richter scale.
Richter.
Yep.
Pardon?
Like the
Pardon?
Richter scale. I was
Like
just
the
saying.
Richter scale. I almost said Riker, and I'm like, that's like the jail. So Richter,
Yep.
like the Richter scale. Okay, ready? And we'll go in 5. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on my series, Your Time Is Now, how to not just survive, but thrive in any real estate market. My name's Lisa Coleman, and we have a very special guest with us today. This is David Richter. In case you do, I'm sure you've heard of him if you're in the real estate market and investing, but if you haven't, he wrote this amazing book, Profit First for Real Estate Investors. I've read it. You need to as well. But there's a lot more to him than just the book. He spent 5 years doing real estate investments, and in 5 years grew his investment company to over 25 deals a month. But guess what? He found out he really wasn't making that much money. As soon as all the money came in, all the money went out. And he thought, there's a better way to do this. So he turned his life's mission into helping real estate companies, real estate investors like me, like you, to look and see, hey, wait a minute, am I doing this for fun and games, or do I really need to make a profit? So today we are excited to have you here, and thank you for being with us, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Well, wonderful. So just to get started, first question, I know you probably are like, I know what she's going to ask me. I know the questions to this is the answer to this question is going to be yes, but do you think it's possible for anybody to thrive in any real estate market, whether it was 2008 and 2010 or what we're looking at now here in this is 2023, and we're seeing some changes even the last couple of days. So, tell us.
Yes. The bottom line is yes. And I believe it's not just because a lot of people back in 2008, 9, 10 were good at even making money, but a lot of those people went down as well too. And that's where I feel like what the message that I'm trying to share is that you can thrive in any market, but you need to treat the real estate investing world like a business. So you need not only to make the money, but keep it as well too. So it's like, yeah, you have to have the yin and the yang. And if you have both of those, you give yourself an exponentially better chance of going through even a difficult time, no matter what it is, whether it's a crash of 2008 or 9, or like COVID that comes in and that's like, what's happening? We don't know if things are going to go up or down. And then but COVID's a bad example because then everything exploded for the next 2 years in pricing. So, it's like, but the really hard times where you don't know, you've never gone through this before, that come up, you're still stable because you've got both ends of the spectrum. You can make it, but then also keep it too.
Oh, absolutely. And you talked about keeping your money, which, I've been a real estate agent for 30 years. You were an agent, you were an investor. Tell us, when was it that you first realized, okay, look at all this money I'm making. Oh my gosh, where did all my money go? So tell us about, because that's the real estate agents. I'm not going to say everybody, but I'm going to say probably what, half, maybe more. That's our, it's been me in the past. That's been our life. Yay,
I
we
would
got a closing. We make $15,000, 10,000, 8, 2, 3, whatever it is, and then like at the end of the month, you're like, oh, where's my money?
Right. And I think that's like 90, 95% of us as humans. not even just business owners, but like think about if you had a personal, if you've ever held a W-2 job, did you ever have your money run out before the end of the month? It's like, well, it's just
Good point.
the habits that we've built, but then we come to be a real estate agent or real estate investor, and we still bring those habits, and we're like, oh shoot, my money's running out before the end of the month, and now you're adding zeros to it. So that's like where it can get dangerous as well too. That's where for us, like I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in college, and for the right after that, for the first 5 years was when I was with this investing company, a part of their leadership team, and we grew it from like 5 deals a month to like 25 deals a month. And I got to sit in a lot of the different seats there in that investing company because we had scaled and grown, like we had multiple people on the team. Well, that was one of the reasons we weren't making money. There was too many people. It was top heavy. But then another thing was I got to sit in the finance seat and actually learn the small business finance because my background was in teaching. Like I went to school to be a teacher, secondary education. So I had, even though I look like I should be the numbers person and go to college for accounting and finance, I didn't. So like that's where even in that job that I had there with that company, I got to sit in the finance seat and learn the numbers, and that's where I was like, we're doing 25 deals a month, but spending 26 worth out the door, like consistently. This is just not going to work long term. And then you feel like, okay, I can. When am I ever going to get ahead? When can we bonus people or like pay more or or like do the things that you want to do as a competent business owner? That's where I really saw it. But then I saw it even more because then I was going to events where people were standing up on stage and saying like, "Hey, we're doing like 2 million," and like everyone's like, "Oh, that's awesome." Then they're crying at the bar because they like you said, Lisa, like they don't have money at the end of the month. Or where is it all going? Like we're making a bunch, but where is it? So that's where I was like, I think it's not just us having this problem because like as a young 20-year-old, 20 in my early 20s, I didn't know like, okay, this was a bigger issue. So then I started hearing it once I started going out places. And at least I think it's more like 95% that are like living deal to deal. So that we've traded a W-2 paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck, now living deal to deal as an agent or an investor. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's where I feel like that's where I saw it at that level. And then I worked with another investor. So after those 5 years, I moved across the country. Long story short, I had some of my own rentals and some of my own portfolio and sold a lot of that, moved across the country, started working with this other guy. And the first thing I asked him was, show me your numbers. Your numbers don't lie, and they'll tell me your story. And it was a mess. And I'm like, here we go again. Like I know, like I've heard this story before, and now I'm seeing it in real life once again. He didn't have a good real estate bookkeeper. They didn't know what they were entering. So I had to clean it up, got it cleaned up, and then gave him the power to know what is he making, spending, and keeping on a monthly basis, which unlocked a lot of doors for him. Like he was able to refinance some of his properties. He was able to
Mm-hmm.
go out and use his money for actual like returns on investment, was able to do the things that he always wanted to do as a real estate investor. That's what opened my eyes as well too of like I can actually help. So it went from, okay, this is a big issue to like, okay, this is a solvable problem too. This is not just like everyone has it and there's no solution out there. That's what got me down the road of even reading Profit First. I called a mentor and said, I helped this guy. I think I could help more people thinking about starting a company. And he said, you should read Profit First. I said, okay. So I read that book and I'm like, what a great framework for the entrepreneur to know where their money's going. So that's kind of what helped me realize there's also a solution to the problem too. So there's my journey at a very quick glance of like going from the real estate
Yeah.
investing world like over to like helping people keep the money because then I saw just from my own experience where all this was happening and I'm like, oh man, this is probably happening everywhere if I'm seeing it at these events and I'm seeing it behind the scenes at both these companies that I've worked with.
Absolutely. And you touched on something for the real estate agents that are out there. They're probably, not, I mean, because I'm sure I have real estate agents watching this as well as
Yeah.
investors, and it's all about the same. The other is making money, helping other people manage their investment. And the second, the backside is helping you manage your money from your personal real estate investments. But when you mentioned you saw people on stage winning all these awards, years ago, I was at a
Yeah.
convention in Vegas for a large franchise that I used to be with, and they gave the overall awards. And I'm not even going to say her name. I probably couldn't remember. I mean, maybe I could if I thought about it hard enough. But the number one agent internationally was from Texas.
Yeah.
Lovely woman. She got it there, got an award. Everybody was cheering for her, and I was invited to dinner that night with the CEO of our company and them and all that. And so when I was talking to her, I said, "Hey, you have had a fantastic year. Congratulations." And she looked at me and she goes, "Yeah." She said, "And sometimes I can't even pay my bills." That's
Oh,
exactly what she said. And we're talking about millions and the
yeah.
tens, almost the hundreds of millions. So for everybody out there, you're not alone. This happens a lot. And this is why David is here today, because, again, there are, again, I'm going to show his book. You can see a picture up there. I mean, guys, I read this book. I went to see David speak, and we'll talk about this at the end of the video. And like, I'm a fangirl, so I'll tell y'all why. But there are some things in this book that you talk about, and we'll touch on just a couple of them because we have a limited amount of time here. But I'm a finance major. That's what I went to school for, finance and accounting, and I was always taught assets minus liability equals capital, which in turn can be used as profit. Sometimes it's not cash, it's on paper, but again, you use it to leverage. And you don't think that way. You kind of did it around, you kind of roundabout did it. So tell us which I like your blade much better. So tell us about that.
Well, and that's the thing too, that if you're an entrepreneur, you think you have to go to the finance, get a finance degree and go to college to be able to manage the money or to get that, or you feel that I now became an entrepreneur as a real estate agent or investor and I should know how to manage the money because I'm getting more income. More income equals better lifestyle, right? And equals like freedom, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people think the true root cause is I just need to make more money. When you add the zero though, you're just adding to your financial problems if you're not taking care of the root cause. And that's where I feel like, yes, that's a great formula for the finance major who needs to go back and like dig into the numbers and like, okay, where's that? But like for an entrepreneur, I'm gonna manage cash no matter what. Money comes in, money goes out. And if I just let it flow, it's going to control me. So for me, what resonated about Profit First was the formula that they put in there because the typical formula is sales minus expenses equals profit, meaning I make a sale, I pay everyone else and their mother, and then hopefully at the end of the day, I have some profit or the end of the year or like when I like it's always an event in the future we're looking for. Profit is this some nebulous event way off that hopefully I have one day, and we build our business on the hope and pray plan. We
Mm-hmm.
hope we have enough, and we pray there's some at the end of the year. But I think that mentality is where you have to switch it up. You have to get down to the deep roots of like, I need to be a profitable business. Of like, why did you start your business? You
Mm-hmm.
started your business to be profitable, like to have that profit, to accomplish whatever your purpose is. The purpose of the business is to be profitable so you can go out there and use the profits for the things you want to. So, what resonated with me was the profit first formula in the book of sales minus profit equals expenses, meaning I make a sale and then I take the profit off the table first. Then the expenses to grow the business are still there, but now they're in the right priority. It's making sure we're healthy. How healthy do we want to be? What are those margins of safety inside of our business to be able to grow and to be able to have money actually to pay ourselves and not feel like you just said one of the top producer as a real estate agent, like I can't pay my bills. It's like that's not fun living deal to deal. And when you've added multiple zeros to your net worth, it's like, what the heck? Like what we got to make sure we get you out of that because a lot of us get stuck in our own rat race of, like I said, instead of living paycheck to paycheck, now it's deal to deal, month to month. Like we were even talking, I think, before the recording, like, hey, I've got like 8 or 9 deals in the pipeline, or
Mm-hmm.
like 8 or 9 closings coming up. Whether an agent or an investor, it's like the same thing happens on both sides, and they're
Yep.
thinking, as long as it closes, I'll be okay. Like if this next
Exactly.
one, I'll be good. Maybe I could sit back a little bit, and it's like, well, no. What if we had a system for the money and that formula, and make sure that I'm talking about profit as in like cash off the table. So not some nebulous number on the bottom of some P&L. I'm talking about you make a sale, you take actual cash off the table of like, don't put it into your operational account and like put it somewhere else so that way you actually have that money. So that's how I think of it, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably not going to get a finance degree like Lisa. Like that did not appeal to me, even though I like the numbers more because I understand the power of them. I
Mhm.
never wanted to get my finance degree and become that finance wizard. And I felt like Profit First gave me that great framework and formula. So that way I could at least control the cash that was coming through my fingers. So that way I didn't have to go out there and like be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing 10 million, 100 million, and I can't pay my bills. What a great example of a microcosm of like someone on the high end where you think they go up on the stage, you think they're successful, then what's really happening? Just think about it. If you're like, you know what, I'm nowhere near there. Good. Start habits earlier.
Yep.
Like that's where can we get proper wealth habits? That's why I'm like, you need to learn how to make money. Like Lisa's interviewing a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to tell you this is how you make the money. Like this is how we've done it. This is how we've set up our systems for marketing, for operations, for making sure the sales are closing. Like this is how we do it. Have a system for the finances too. So that's what we'll go into a little bit more here is like the actual system you could set up. That
Mhm.
was the other thing, not just the mentality, because I feel like too that formula we've heard before, like if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he says pay yourself first, or Richest Man in Babylon, a portion of all I have is mine to keep. So that's where this formula for me became more solid, because it was like I've heard this before and this formula in different wordings in different ways, but then Profit First says here's a system to manage it and to make sure you're actually taking Profit First off the table and making sure that you're going to be in business no matter what. Like we asked at the beginning, like how do you know that you could handle a 2008, 9, 10 crash? Here you go. This is what we do, and I'll make sure that on these next few questions I give you the actual system. But there you go, Lisa. That's where I think the formula, flipping it and just not just the financial analysis.
And actually, y'all, how I met David was I was he spoke at an investors, not a real estate agent, had nothing to do with real estate sales, an investor seminar. And this is the point where I literally texted my business partner who wasn't there, and I said, this guy is brilliant. Yeah, I mean, and I had read the book, but just explaining it all. And there's probably agents out there going, mind blown.
Yeah.
You mean I should say, here's how much it takes me to live. I should take it out. And then what's left over, then I can, if I have the money, I do the fancy website. If I have the money, I pay for the leads. Or if I have the money, I do the marketing, and all that. Instead of, hey, I get paid, I've got $10,000 coming in and 8,000 goes out to bring in another 10,000. Yeah, those numbers, they
Right.
don't work. You're
Yeah.
right. They don't work. So, and you touched on something, you said your operational account,
Yeah.
your OPEX as I know the lingo now because I'm working with David's company and it's been brilliant, but so that's the second part in the book. I mean, there's so many parts to the book, y'all have to go by. We're not going to touch on everything today, but I call them our buckets or your account. You talked about the OPEX account. So touch on that so people will know what you're talking about with your operating account, because it's like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I've got or I'm an investor and my company's name is XYZ and I've got my employer identification number and I got my checking account. Isn't that all I need?
So here we go. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see, not just investors or agents, but like just people in general that are entrepreneurs that
Mhm.
go down this road. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is having one big bank account where all your money goes in and goes out. And that's how a lot of people manage their money for their entire business is I have it up on my screen over here, like my bank, and I have one big account. Do I have money in there? Like you just said, that $10,000 check just came in. I can use 8,000 of it for, to get the next deal. It's like, it's just, if there's money there, I spend it. If there's not money there, I'm going to be frugal and like, just like push off everyone, until I get some more money in there. So that's where a lot of people, how they manage their money in their business. And
Mhm.
that's where I feel like that Profit First came in and said, okay, we're not going to just tell you pay yourself first, but here's a system to manage it where you literally set up like Dave Ramsey's envelope system. Whether you love him or hate him, he's got some great advice for the actual financial control piece of it, for financial peace in your life. Like if you've ever gone through his courses for the financial, they're called financial peace. And I love that terminology because you need financial peace in your business life. And what the whole point of that envelope system is like giving every dollar a name. Give every dollar a name that comes into your business. So that's where I call the first three accounts, physical bank accounts, business checking bank accounts to set up first is the golden trio. I love Harry Potter and Star Wars. That's just who I am. I love the big epic saga movies. Like I love watching those with my family, and they always have the three main heroes, right? Luke, Han, Leia, Harry, Ron, Hermione, making sure good wins in the end. You, as an agent or investor, are building your epic saga with your company, with the deals you're closing, with the things that you're doing. So you need to make sure you have three main heroes instead of one big bad guy where all the money goes in and out of. So, like, this is where you need three main heroes. What are those first three accounts? It's profit,
Mhm.
owner's comp, and owner's tax. So that's where I'm going to break those down real quick. Profit is, why did you start your business? Why did you think about that? Was it for a car? Was it for the house? Was it a private plane? Was it like to just take vacations? Was it to have more money than you've ever had before? Whatever it is for you, that financial freedom, what that means to you. Think about that. That's the profit account. The profit account is that icing on the cake, takes up to 50% out of the profit account, like, and use it for what you want and do that on a quarterly basis from profit. That's like the reward of having a successful business and putting money away that you haven't touched. The second account, owner's comp, is more personal to you. It's more the what do I need to keep on a monthly basis to make sure my lifestyle and family are taken care of. And I'm going to touch on that after this because there's another big mistake there, like that I want to touch. But the owner's comp, if you set that up, it's more of like, what am I paying myself for the work I'm doing in the business? So if you're an agent or investor, like if you're there on the front lines and still haven't grown a team where you're just the owner's box, which that doesn't happen for a long time. So it's like wherever you are, set up that account and then take from it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, like more frequently than the profit account, because this is to actually pay you for the work you're doing and to put food on the table. That's the owner's comp. I also call it the get out of the rat race account. Like this is how you get out of your rat race. So if you're still chained to W-2 and you're trying to get out as well full time into investing or as an agent or whatever, it's like how many deals do I need to close that on the average profit in order to fill this owner's comp bucket on a consistent basis with the number I need. Owner's tax is simple. If you're an agent, this is going to help you immensely. If you're an investor that does just you sell deals a lot and don't hold a lot, it will help you a ton as well too. The owner's tax account is to make sure that during tax time, you never have to stress about taxes again. From every deal that closes, a small percentage goes into the tax account and you don't touch it until tax time when the tax person says, this is how much you owe, and boom, you transfer it over and you pay the taxes.
Yeah.
So those are the three golden trio accounts that will save you time, headache, and help you keep more of what you're making. That's the first money that gets funded into those three accounts from a deal that you close. Because the other two main accounts is income, which is a separate account from OPEX. Income is like all deposits come into income. So that way it's just sitting there until you transfer it first to the golden trio and then to OPEX to make sure you're paying your bills. OPEX you already have. It's probably the one big account where everything's going in and out of. So I want you to separate out income so that it goes over there so that way you could transfer it, but OPEX can still have the automatic payments go out. It's the Voldemort, of your business. It's like Darth Vader, the Emperor, whatever. So it's like that's all the money going out and flowing out. So that way you can very easily see what's coming into income, what am I making? So it's very easy to see. This is what's coming into income, boom. Then what went out of OPEX, what did I spend, and then what did I keep out of these three golden trio accounts? Like how much did I put into there that I actually left there and didn't touch?
Mhm.
I didn't have to touch until the proper time, to either pay myself or to pay, the profit once a quarter. Those are the fundamental accounts. For the real estate investing world, I tag on a 6 account OPM, other people's money, because if you're going to take money from a private lender, a hard money lender, don't mix that in with your other 5 accounts, like to fix up a property, because it's very easy to mix it all in and feel like you have more money than you really do. And it's like, then you just spend all their money and then you've run out of the project money. Now you got to go get more money and now you've started a Ponzi scheme. Don't do that. So it's
Yep.
like use the OPM to separate that out. But that's the system behind Robert Kiyosaki's pay yourself first, behind the profit first actual formula of like sales minus profit equals expenses. This is how you make it a habit, because then what happens every time a deal closes, transfer the money from income to the other accounts. It takes you less than 15 minutes to do that on a weekly basis just to see. Then you can pull up I'm a very visual person. So then you literally open up your phone, which is, I've got a picture of my daughter right there. So but that's where I want to make sure that like on your phone can pull up your banking app and see where's all my money? Where's it going? Like where am I financially? And you have a better clue than just that one account, which gives you no clarity. It's just all confusion and it just helps you manage it better. And you don't have to have a finance degree. You don't have to be a financial wizard. You are going to already touch the money that's flowing through your hands, put a system around it so that way when the hard times do come, you haven't run out of money, even if your OPEX is empty, because you'll have these other buckets that are still have money in them. And like, even though you might be close to like, oh shoot, that deal didn't close, I can't fund my next month from OPEX. Maybe we set up a reserve account, or maybe you have to touch another account, but then okay, I put that in there to cover this now. The next deal closes. Maybe I have to fund that first wherever I took it from. But that way you're not going out of business and not stressing as much because you've got the cash spread out. There you go. That's to counteract one of the biggest mistakes I believe is just having one big bank account and then the system behind profit first.
Yeah, and exactly. And when before I started, with you, I
Yeah.
had one big bank account, but and agents listen to this. This is, you need all your accounts, but I think as real estate agents or any entrepreneur, you know, I've been guilty of this. Tax account to me is maybe one of the first ones that
Yeah.
you may open up, because how many of us out there, we're gonna you said something and I want to expand on that, but how many times have you got, you've had your taxes done? We all file extensions when we're entrepreneurs, we by that time it's
Yeah.
like April 15th means nothing to us. We're looking for it in
Right.
October. I even know the dates, but then when that bill comes, you think, okay, this is due by January. Let me sell one more house, and
Yeah.
then you're back in that cycle. And that touches on, I just said, let me sell one more house. Let me do this.
Right.
You mentioned how many deals do you need to close?
Yeah.
As an investor, how many deals do so all of us, when we're doing our goals, and I'm guilty. And just another quick analogy, I was helping an agent one time and she said, I want to sell $10 million worth of real estate this year, but 60% of her business came from referrals. And I'm like, well, how much money do you want to make? Because if you want to make X, or you, as like you like to say it, if you need to make X,
Right.
that number needs to increase to 15 or 18, because referral fees can be upwards with corporate 40%. So 60% of your business, 40% of that money's going out the door. You're actually only earning 30% of that 6 million you sell. So you need to at least double it or triple it, 6,
Yep.
12, $18 million worth to make the X amount of dollars. And that's where I think agents, when we set our goal, anybody, when you set your goals, you're like, what's your wants, your needs, and your desires? That's what everybody says. And I think, the way you teach it is, what's your need? Then you've got your want and your desires, but that need needs to go first. So you come up with, you're like, let's come up with our need number. Tell us about that.
So let me tell a story to this.
Yeah.
So that way, because there was a guy that we started working with back in 2019, his name's Joey English, came to me and said, like, I hate real estate investing. Like, I hate fix and flip, which was his primary source of income. So it's like, that sucks. Like, tell me what's going
I
on.
hate my life. That's pretty much what he was saying.
That's what he was telling me was
Yeah.
like, and so he walks in and tells, or it was a Zoom call like this. And I said, okay, tell me about that. And he said one of his pain points was the taxes. He walked into a CPA's office. She said, like looking at your books, I never get into real estate. So he felt really bad there. Then she said, you also lost $70,000 this year. So he just felt crushed. Like she add insult to injury, like she said, it would have been better if you worked at McDonald's than your business this year. It's like, oh my gosh, like just can you just stop burying the dagger in the heart? And then he said, David, it actually gets worse. I had to go home and tell my wife. She actually started working in the business this year because we started scaling up. Like I wanted to do 3 or 4 deals a month, or like you said, I want to get to that 10, I want to sell 10, $15 million in real estate where they've never done that much before. And he was trying to scale up. And because of that, like he started working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks. So like stopped working out, stopped doing the things that matter to him. His wife started working in the business, starting having seizures, like it was so stressful. And it was like, oh my gosh, we did all this. We did more deals than we've ever done, David, and I lost more money than I've ever lost. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh. Like, then that's where I was like, we gotta implement this system. Like, we gotta get this in here because you can dig yourself out of here. Yeah, there's just some key pieces. One of the first things was, how much do you really need to do? Do you need to do 3 to 4 deals a month? So we taught him the concept of finding your keep number. What do you need from your business? I like saying keep now because like those first 3 accounts I talked about, the golden trio help you know what you're keeping. But the owner's comp account specifically helps you know what you need. Like that's what you need to fill on a monthly basis to pay yourself. So that's where a lot of people, like Joey, here's a good story from Crucial Conversations, the book, chapter 10 in there. I absolutely love this one. Changed my
I
life.
went and bought it after you suggested it, matter of fact.
Oh,
So
it's such a great book. So it's called the chapter's called Retaking Your Pen because when you're born with your pen in your hand. You're writing your story. You're able to then, like as a little kid, you don't care what anyone thinks of you. Like you're just asking the questions, you're curious, you're just doing all the things. Then you get older, like junior high, high school, then you care about what a lot of people think. What are they wearing? How are they acting? How do I fit in? How am I accepted by them? Like what's the value? Like you're basically trading your value for their acceptance. So you give up your pen to them and your self-worth, and they're writing your story, and you wonder why you feel crappy all the time and why you are hunched over as an adult and why you've got a stiff neck. And it's like, that's why, because you gave up your pen, and did you ever give it back? If you're listening to this though, to Lisa's, to what we're doing right here, you are either probably an agent or investor, so you've already taken back your pen and said, I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to help people sell their house, or I'm going to help people acquire, or I'm going to do the investing and fix them up and make them really nice, or whatever it is that you're doing. You said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a risk on myself, become an entrepreneur, and I'm going to write my story. And that felt good. The first time you closed that first deal was like, ooh, that was nice. Like I know I can do this. But then you listen to people that are like that lady up on the stage doing the 10 million, $100 million or whatever, the number one agent, like, oh, I want to do that. And behind the scenes, she's crying because she's like, she's not able to pay her bills. But then you give your pen up to someone like that. And then she's writing your story because you want to do what she's doing. And then you're like, oh, shoot. I don't like my business. Just like Joey, that's what he did. He went to these events, was on Facebook, saw the guru saying you need to be doing this much. And then he went out there trying to do 3 to 4 deals a month and said, I hate this. You know why? Because he gave up his pen, his self-worth, and was trying to do someone else's business and based off what he thought he needed to do, what they thought he should do. That's where you have to take back your pen and say, no, what do I need from the business? Sit down and say, this is what I need to keep. I need to keep this much. And this is where I give out usually a form, which Lisa, I do have a link that they could go to if you want me to or not, where they can download this form because I think it's so powerful. If you sit down with your spouse, especially if you have a spouse or a business partner, sit down and do this. What do we need to keep from the business? Because if you have a business partner, it's probably going to be different numbers. If you've never talked to your spouse, it's like, are you on the same page of like what needs to be brought home on a monthly basis? Like if you can get your financial house in order like that, so much of this is why I teach Dave Ramsey's principles from, like where your money should go in every dollar, because you need financial peace in your life. If you have that, you can think about the things that really matter. I'm talking about money so much, but I'm doing that because I want you to set up the systems and not have to think about the money as much. So that way you can go do the deals, or you could go on vacation or do those things. Because when Joey sat down and said, how many deals do I really need to do? Here's what I need from my business. And he went to me like 2 weeks later after that process. And he said, David, guess how many deals I need to do this next year? And I'm like, I don't know. Is it back to 1 to 2 a month? He's like, 5. I need to do 5 deals this year just to get to my need number. He's
and
like,
that's the year. That's not the month, the year.
A year. And I was like,
anybody can do that. I mean,
right?
literally anybody can do that.
Can do that. It's like, that's where I was like, that's so attainable to make sure that for him and his business and for his lifestyle and what he wanted, 5 worked for him. And it was like, for him, mental clarity of like, boom, I can do that without working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks or having my wife work in the business. So that's what they did the next year. They did 5 deals. And he said, David, I did less deals this year than I've ever done. And I have more money in my bank account than I've ever had before. And he's like, it's because I implemented this system. And I'm like, that's why I'm so passionate about getting this out now, because I've seen transformations like that. Story gets even better though. He went to his CPA the last 3 years and had a much different conversation with her because she said, what the heck happened to you? He's like, I implemented this system and like, this is what's happened to me. He's like, okay, how much do I owe in taxes? She's like, yeah, you actually do, because you're profitable. Even with a couple of your rentals, like with your active income, you owe this much. The last 3 years, he said, okay, I have enough. Where do I send it? And he sent it. The last 2 years, he's had extra in his tax account. The first year he bought an RV for his family to take road trips in. The second year he put it into a giving account to give to a camp for kids to help start that. And that's where I'm like so passionate. It's because that's why he started his business, was to spend time with his family and to give towards causes. It honestly, his story gets even better. Last year, He called me at the end of the year and said, David, I set up this giving account and we had a goal to get like $56,000 in this account. And he told me at the end of the year, David, guess how much we put in there? I was like, I don't know. He's like, it was it the 50,000? He said, no, we raised it to 75 and I put 75,000 in this one account to give to this camp for kids. And that lit me on fire. And I use him in all my stories now because in my presentations, you know why? Because he was $70,000 in the hole in 2019, and this last year he gave $75,000 to from one account to give to a camp for kids because that was his overarching vision. One of the purposes of his life was to help them and to help. And last year he spent 3 weeks on the road with his family in that RV. So spending more time with them, not being chained to the business. And I'm like, that's the real freedom. The real freedom is knowing how to make the money, but turning the money into actual freedom. And that's what a lot of people miss that leap. And that's why I'm so passionate about if you're built your business on the hope and pray plan, or you're just going off some other number that you heard someone else say, then you don't know what you need and you are going to just spin out of control like Joey did, where you need to know, I need this amount every single month. And what does that turn into dollars? And I'm not saying it has to be the 5 deals. You can grow from there, but as long as it's intentional for you. That's the big point there is this what you need for your family, for your cause. So that's the why I'm so passionate about that because I've seen it in real life happen like that over and over again. Like once you have that number, it's just a lot more freeing mentally.
Absolutely. I mean, and I love your passion for it, and that's why, and guys, David touched on he's got a free form, and we're getting near our time limit here.
Yeah.
Well, not limit, but where we want y'all to get out there and implement this, and
Yeah.
start doing this. But he's got a free form, and I think your folks at your company reached out to me and said that you were creating a few things. It might be the form, for our listeners today that are here, and there'll be a link. So don't worry, y'all will have a link to this, but tell us a little bit about, what do you have for folks today to start getting them on this right path to making a profit and, well, keeping their profit, I should say. We all make a profit, we want to keep it.
Right. The two biggest things to implement right now is the find your keep number. So know that number. So that's one of the things you'll get is that form. It's 6 questions. It's 1 page long. Super easy to fill out, but gives you clarity around what you actually need. Second thing is I want to give you the full ebook, Profit First for Real Estate
Oh my
Investing.
gosh. How did y'all don't realize how big this is.
Yeah, for free because I don't want you to have any excuse. You're like, oh, I can't buy that. I don't have time to read or whatever. Go to the chapter. If you're like, what were the accounts again that he said to set up? Go there and just read that portion and start setting them up. It's like that's what I want for you next is get the actual system in place so you can start seeing more dollars. I've been teaching and talking enough and presenting enough for the last few years where people are now saying, I took some of that stuff from what you talked about, implemented it, and it has either saved my business's life or I have more money than I've ever had. And I want that story for you as well too. So those are 2 of the things. I've got actually other things. One of them is Profit First for personal. If you want to set it up in your personal life, like here's a little spreadsheet, here's a little video of how I do that because it's like if you're going to do this in your business and you're going to have more money, what do I actually do with it on the personal side so I'm not just spending every dollar as well too, giving you some good habits and on the personal side as well. So those are some of the big things from here that you're going to get that to help you right away implement this right from what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And everyone remember that, this recording will stay up for 24 hours, as part of the series. Will it be put on YouTube and stuff, Facebook later on? Probably so, but I won't put the link up for the free book. This is just right now for those of us who chose to join us during this series and make a difference in your life. Well, I'm going to tell you, I could sit and talk to David, literally all day long. And I did. I spent all day with him at that seminar. And by the end of the day, I mean, literally people were texting their business partners going, you guys got to get this, this guy is great. I mean, I just couldn't say it. And when you go, and his website's going to be on there, I am going to give you a shameless plug right now. David didn't even talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it quickly before we sign off. He has a company called Simple CFO. There's different levels. There'll be a link. They can go in and see what that's about. He gives a free consultation, I think, to people where you can find out if it works for you. It has already, I think we signed up maybe 3-4 months ago. It's not been, I mean, it's probably around November, I'm thinking, before Christmas. We signed up we have not David, he has tons of talented people working for him. We have a CFO now for our company, and we're not paying them, we won't go into pay because there's different levels, but CFOs make six figures or more. We're not paying. And literally, our CFO, his name is Chris. He has made us look at things. We have our account set up, and like, are we like the other guy? We can go out and buy an RV? No, but you know what? We're beginning to look and go, oh, we shouldn't have done that. And oh, we're not going to do that next time. And that's where I think as investors and real estate agents, we think and go, it's only $200, it's only $300. And then when Chris spells it out, it's like, not doing that, and we've actually started trimming a lot of the trimming the fat, on a lot of stuff that we were doing. So, but anyway, David, thank you so much for being here today. This has just been wonderful. I appreciate it. Everyone, remember, click the link below, reach out to David, go to the Simple CFO site and download the ebook, and again, here it is. Profit First for Real Estate. I guess I don't need to promote it and tell you to go buy it because he is going to give it to you. So, but anyway, thank you again, and I'll see y'all later. Thanks. Bye. And I'm going to stop recording. How do